Watch this heated moment. Rep. Lucy McBath calls out Kash Patel for what she calls a problematic tenure at the FBI, citing rising domestic terror and political violence. And instead of owning up to it, Patel explodes, turning defensive, combative, and visibly angry. This one got intense fast.
It's back. The gentlelady from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for coming in today, Mr. Patel. In the past few months, the country has experienced a string of horrific, high-profile attacks that have been motivated by racial hatred or political ideology. Shooter attacked the CDC headquarters, firing hundreds of rounds and killing a police officer. An arsonist set fire to the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro's residence, with the governor and his family actually inside. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated earlier this year. Clark and Charlie Kirk was murdered last week. Bomb threats have been made against HBCUs and the DNC, and just the list goes on and on. I only have just a few minutes today, so I don't want to take a lot of time to go into all the countless and devastating violent crimes and incidents that have happened at our schools or on our streets and in our communities that have just been happening all year long. Mr. Patel, just yes or no, is this type of political violence ever acceptable in your eyes?
No.
I'm glad that we agree that these heinous acts designed to instill fear and division in our nation are never, ever acceptable, yet each of these incidents has recently taken place under your watch. The FBI's website states that protecting the United States from terrorist acts is the FBI's #1 priority, including from domestic terrorists. Is this still your #1 priority?
Domestic terrorism?
Preventing domestic terrorism.
Our #1 priorities are protecting the homeland and international terrorism and crushing violent crime, and domestic terrorism sort of interlays between both of those.
Okay, so well, then I'm glad that you're giving us the right answer, but unfortunately, your actions kind of tell a different story. Earlier this year, you granted the ranks of the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Operations Section. This is the section of the FBI that is most directly responsible for addressing political violence in our country by preventing attacks from occurring and effectively responding to them if they do. The agents in this section are the ones who stopped an individual stockpiling weapons, who planned to attack schools and churches in Florida and seized bombs made by an ISIS sympathizer in New Orleans. And instead of ensuring that this section has all the resources that it needs at a time when its mission is critical, you fired its decorated veteran FBI agents who have served their country proudly under Republican and both Democratic presidents, and you scrapped the tools that they developed to fight domestic terrorism, including the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database.
I mean, most of that is just not true. We have 1,700 current DT managed programs. We're up 300% in the amount of cases we brought against nihilistic, violent extremists, including 764, wishing to harm our children. The FBI and the men and women are getting after that problem set more than ever because I've unleashed them to do so. And any situation that these tragic occurrences across the country are somehow singularly my fault or disgusting because that watershed goes
Mr.
down to the
Patel,
men
I'm
and
going to
women at the
reclaim my time.
FBI.
Mr. Patel,
And they are not responsible for it.
Chairman,
I'm happy to work with you to get them what they need.
Gentlelady controls the time. Unanimous consent request. You'll state a request.
Thank you very much. Into the record, an article from Reuters titled FBI Scales Back Staffing, Tracking of Domestic Terrorism, Probes Sources Say. Thank you very much.
Without objection.
I appreciate that. So, Mr. Patel, and it isn't just the Domestic Terrorism Operations Section. Under your watch, agents are fully diverting their attention to these anti-immigrant and city takeover operations, leaving our children vulnerable to dangerous networks of online predators, both domestic and international. You pulled more than 120 FBI agents from their normal duties to operate sobriety checks and conduct traffic stops, exposing the FBI's fleet of unmarked cars and thereby making it harder for the FBI to combat violent criminal gangs, foreign intelligence services, and drug traffickers in the process.
That's simply not true. If we were not able to do two things at one time, how would we be seizing record amounts of fentanyl? 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
Time belongs to the gentlelady.
More than twice as many as last
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Georgia.
Thank you very much. And this request basically is It is an article from Reuters, which quotes law enforcement officers familiar with agents who once covered child exploitation cases but now focus on immigration child exclusive. Thousands of agents diverted to Trump immigration track down. Mr. Patel, in the short time I have left, your tenure as director of FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are definitely less safe under your watch. You have gutted the FBI's ability to keep safe from domestic terrorism. You have sent FBI agents to conduct traffic stops and round up hardworking immigrants who pose no danger to public safety. People even President Trump referred to as good, long-time workers. Your job is to protect and serve the American public.
Time to the gentlelady.
You have spent your time protecting heinous individuals and using the FBI to serve as a political circus. You at times have appeared unequipped.
Time to the
This country
gentlelady has
deserves better,
expired.
and I yield.
Gentlelady yields
May I
back.
respond?
Sure can.
Simply put, what is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing? Because we captured 4 top 10 FBI most wanted from around the world in 7 months. That's more than the entirety of the last administration. Are we failing? Because we put 1,500 child predators in prison. Are we failing? Because we dismantled 300 human trafficking networks. Which is it? You don't like me, that's fine. But don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI that are producing record results in historic fashion to protect this country. They are kicking ass for America, and they're going to continue to do so.
And we appreciate your leadership. The gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
You can feel the tension from the moment Lucy McBath starts speaking. She's calm, focused, and methodical, laying out a devastating record of violent attacks under Kash Patel's leadership at the FBI. School shootings, arsons targeting governors, political assassinations, the list goes on. Her point is clear. America is facing a surge in politically motivated violence, and Patel's FBI has failed to protect the public. But when McBath points out that these acts have occurred under your watch, Patel bristles. He immediately goes on defense, interrupting her mid-question to insist her facts are not true. That's a classic move, deflecting instead of addressing substance. McBath doesn't back down. She calmly enters a Reuters article into the record, confirming that the FBI, under Patel, scaled back domestic terrorism staffing. The evidence is literally in black and white, but Patel keeps dodging. Then comes her line that breaks him. Your tenure as director of the FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are left less safe under your watch. That's when Patel snaps. He launches into a fiery rant, rattling off numbers, arrests, drug seizures, fugitives caught, as if throwing data can erase the systemic issues she just exposed. But the problem isn't whether agents are working hard, it's where they're being directed to work. McBath's criticism cuts to the core. While domestic terror rises, Patel diverted FBI agents to immigration crackdowns and traffic operations, political showpieces ordered by the Trump administration. She accuses him of turning the FBI into a political circus. And the evidence she cites, agents reassigned from child exploitation cases to immigration patrols, is deeply damning. Patel's response? Emotion, not accountability. He shouts, "Don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI." But no one was disparaging them. McBath was calling him out. That's the difference between leadership and ego. What we're seeing here isn't just a personal clash, it's a snapshot of a bigger problem, the politicization of law enforcement under MAGA influence. When the FBI starts chasing immigrants instead of extremists, when databases on domestic terror are scrapped, when expertise is replaced by loyalty, that's how institutions rot from within. McBath's tone remains steady. She doesn't shout, doesn't grandstand, she just presents facts. And it's those facts that clearly get under Patel's skin. The louder he gets, the more defensive he sounds. This exchange captures the divide in America's justice system today. On one side, people like Lucy McBath demanding accountability, transparency, and focus on real threats like domestic terrorism and hate crimes. On the other, political appointees like Patel who equate criticism with disloyalty. And maybe that's what makes Patel's outburst so telling. Because when a public servant reacts to scrutiny with rage, it's not strength, it's insecurity. McBath hit a nerve, and the response said everything. Patel can list numbers all day, but the fact remains, under his leadership, the FBI redirected resources away from protecting Americans and toward enforcing Trump's political agenda. That's not law and order. That's political theater. Lucy McBath exposed that, calmly and precisely, and Patel's meltdown, that was the sound of accountability catching up. If you want to see more moments like this, where truth meets power in real time, make sure to hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell us what you think in the comments.